Okay, seventh grade. So we're in the second half of chapter 6 right now, where we're kind of changing gears. This chapter is called Equations and Inequalities, and right now we are switching from solving equations to solving inequalities. So we're going to start right now with lesson 6, solving inequalities with addition and subtraction. So the first thing that you have in your notes is this section where it asks you to name each symbol. So the first two should be pretty familiar to you. The first one is the greater than sign, and the second one is the less than sign. So, really quickly, in order to remember my signs, most of us know how to use them. The alligator eats the bigger number. That was like an elementary school thing. But some of us don't know the difference between them when we just see them all alone. And here's my lesson on that. This symbol right here is called the less than symbol, and I know that because if I look at it, it looks like a squished letter L, right? So here's the letter L. If somebody just kind of came and pinched it here, it would look the same as this guy. So look for the one that looks like the letter L. That's your less than sign. The other one is your greater than sign. So these two signs may be new to us down here. It's the greater than sign with a line underneath and a less than sign with a line underneath. And those signs are called greater than or equal to and less than or equal to. So we're adding the provision of equality here. So if I said to you, you need to go and study for at least 10 minutes, that would mean the same as greater than or equal to 10 minutes. So you could stop at 10 minutes and you would have fulfilled that requirement, or you could go beyond 10 minutes and you would still have fulfilled that requirement. So this is when we're adding this option of equality as well as exceeding, or equality as well as being less than. So, very important section for us is getting some words and phrases that help us to indicate when to use each sign. And this section you want to pay a lot of attention to, and you definitely want to study these. So, in your diagram here, the first one you're going to see is that the first one we're going to do is we're going to do the equal sign. And the equal sign is always going to have your words like equals or the same or the same as. So obviously if you see those words or phrases in a word problem, that tells you to use the equal sign. But there are three more subtle words that we're going to have to look for that also indicate equality. And those words are is, was, and were. I have these words bolded because they're so important. So back in the beginning of chapter 6, we talked about writing equations, and we were on the lookout for the words like equals, the same as, is, was, or were. That kind of helps us to use that sign. In the end of chapter 6, we're no longer using the equal sign. We're replacing the equal sign with one of our 4 inequality signs. And that's what makes this an inequality versus an equation. It doesn't have an equal sign. Instead, it has one of these 4 symbols in place of the equal sign. So in a word problem that tells us to use an equality to solve it, if we see any of these phrases, it would tell us to use the greater than sign. So is greater than, is more than, is bigger than, over, maybe exceeds, is larger than. Okay, so something these all have in common is that they're going to start off with is or was or were to kind of help us set that up. So they're starting off with a word that would have told us where to place the equal sign, but they're including these phrases that tell us it's not an equal sign, it's an inequality sign to use in its place. Okay? Words that tell us to use the less than sign: is less than, is fewer than, is smaller than, under or below could also be used in this case as well. Okay, now these are not comprehensive lists. There's definitely more words that could indicate to use these signs. I'm just trying to give you some to watch out for. The greater than and less than signs are pretty straightforward. It's usually very easy to tell which word is being called for. It's a little trickier with greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. So take a look at some of these phrases that would tell us to use the greater than or equal to sign. And no, these are not typos, okay? So this is the greater than or equal to sign, but words like no less than, or at least, or a minimum of, they're all telling us to use the greater than or equal to sign. And if we stop and think about those words and what they mean, we'll understand why. Let me start off with at least. All three of these mean the same thing, by the way. We're going to talk about at least, though. Again, from the beginning of the video, I said, hey, go study for at least 10 minutes. At least 10 means study for 10 minutes or more. Well, look at this symbol. This symbol has the equal to piece. So 10 minutes equal to 10. And it also has the greater than piece, 10 or more. So that's why these phrases match up with the greater than or equal to sign. That's tough. You're going to want to study those words, put them on a flashcard, review them, because kids get that wrong all the time. Over here for less than or equal to, you can probably figure out that it's going to be the opposite words over here, the opposite phrases. So no more than, at most, a maximum of. And again, all three of these phrases mean the same thing. If I told you, hey, listen, we're getting ready to leave, you have no more than 5 minutes before I walk out this door without you. Well, no more than 5 means you can take 5 minutes. You can take less than 5 minutes and you're going to be coming with me. We're good to go. But if you take more than 5 minutes, then you're getting left behind. My mom would say these things to me all the time. I was slow to get ready. It's okay. Anyways, so think about that. You can take no more than 5 minutes. So you can take 5 minutes. There's your equality. Or you can take fewer than 5 minutes. And that's your less than piece. So that's why those words match up with that sign. Again, study this. These words, when you see more, most, and maximum, they tend to make us think to use the greater than sign. When we see less, least, and minimum, they tend to make us think to use the less than sign. But it's the other words that go along with it that make us think, oh, no, the signs are different. So read this, make sure you understand what these phrases mean. Okay, a couple notes for us here. Remember, an inequality symbol is used in place of the equal sign. Okay, in place of the equal sign. So that's very, very important. In place of the equal sign, words like is, was, and were. So is, was, and were, they are called indicator words. They're indicating that we would have normally used the equal to sign, but if it's coming in front of those inequality phrases from the diagram in your notes, then it's telling us to actually use one of those inequality words. So is, was, were, be on the lookout for them. That would tell us where to use our equal sign, but instead of using an equal sign, if it's followed by those other words and phrases, then we are going to use those inequality phrase symbols in its place. I'm going to stop here. This video is getting a little bit long, and I am going to do a part 2 with your example problems.